Welcome to my mental health diary episode 2. In this diary, we're going to, I'm going to be talking about my journey with anxiety. I'm basically just going to share my story and hopefully maybe somebody can relate and, if I can help one person, that's all that matters. I'm just hoping I don't get emotional during this video because I just did my makeup so nice and I don't want to ruin it. Let's just get right into it. So basically, if you don't know what anxiety is, which I'm pretty sure that you do, just basically constantly worrying, constantly overthinking, constantly worrying. There's always that fear, constantly. I feel like that's the best way to explain it. I started having anxiety when I first got to high school, when I was about 14 years old. Before I entered high school, I had no idea what anxiety was. I did not know it was a thing. But basically, my anxiety was based around the environment that I was in, because I started out, because I switched schools. I went from middle school to high school. My middle school was very small. There wasn't a lot of kids. And then my high school was very, very large. So I went from a very different environment very quickly. I also didn't have many friends, so I felt very lonely as well. I did make some friends in the beginning of the year, but still I think just the whole change of everything, switching schools and finding new friends, is what gave me anxiety. People weren't very kind to me as well, because I was on a dance team in high school and I was a freshman first starting out, and there were seniors or juniors there that have been there longer than I have, obviously, and I was getting put in the front for things and people didn't like that, so I would get looked at, or people talking about me behind my back or whatever. So yeah, no, that wasn't fun. Also, I don't think I've ever really admitted this, but I also think it was also being away from home that gave me anxiety, which was kind of a new thing, because obviously I went to school all the time, but there was just something about being away from home that made me so anxious. Yeah, my anxiety didn't really start until after the holidays of my freshman year, because I got sick and then I didn't go back to school for a week, so basically got 2 weeks off. And then I just got I think that's what it is. I got so used to being home that I didn't want to go back to school, and I think that's where it started. It's just I blocked out a lot from freshman year to sophomore year. I don't remember anything from that year, because when you go through all of that, it's just I feel when you get older, you kind of just block it out of your head because you don't want to remember it, because I don't want to look back on it and remember it, because it wasn't a good time. Really wasn't a good time in my life. I was struggling a lot. After the holidays, I really struggled getting back into the routine of going to school. I didn't want to go back to school. Would fake being sick. I, cry, throw a tantrum like a little child, feel my parents didn't really understand what I was going through, so I feel no matter what I did, they were still gonna always force me to get up and go to school, which obviously they want what's best for their kid, so it's I get it, but they never really understood what I was feeling until eventually I started going to therapy and, doing all that. But I'm getting way too far ahead of myself. But basically, my anxiety was so bad I couldn't get up to go to school. I started having panic attacks in the morning. Oh, my neck is red. Struggling to breathe, crying, and my mom, just constantly hearing my mom say, just don't give up, just don't give up. I remember her saying that so much throughout everything, and it's just gotten so bad to the point where I just didn't go to school. This is the part where I really don't remember, because I blocked out so much. I'm pretty sure I did homeschooling for a little bit my freshman year, I believe, and See, I don't remember if this happened when I was 14 or 15, but it happened sometime between those years, where my parents were just so worried about me. They took me to the hospital. They took me there, and they asked me a bunch of questions and whatever, and basically I got admitted into the mental hospital, and I just remember that being like the worst day of my life. Like, I don't think any day could get worse than that day. That day was traumatizing. So they told me that I had to stay for they didn't give you like a time, like they just like until you eventually got better, that's how long I had to stay. I was just so worried that I was never gonna get out of there. I don't really want to get into, because like I don't know if it's like triggering for some people, but there were moments where I felt like, why am I here? What's my purpose? It's like no one understands me. So I was just like, why be here? I was just like, why be here? That's why I went to the mental hospital. I'm trying so hard not to cry right now. But I got admitted. It was not a good day. Not a good day. I remember what I was wearing. I remember. It's so crazy, the things that you remember and the things that you don't. It really is. Basically, they gave me like this medicine that made me calm down. Like, and I remember the feeling of how calm I felt when I took this medicine. I don't remember what it was, but they gave me something to calm me down because I was like screaming, crying, throwing tantrums. Like, no, I can't even imagine what my parents must have been feeling in these moments. Like, it's just, I can't. I stayed there for like maybe a week, I want to say. I don't remember, but it wasn't that bad. Like, the first night was fine. I actually made a friend in there. I finally got sleep because I wasn't sleeping. I finally was eating because I really wasn't eating either. It did help me. I think it did. It gave me that time to just calm down. And then obviously your parents came to visit and whatever, you have phone calls and whatever. So I definitely think that it was needed. But then I got out and I was happy. But then I realized that I had to go back to school. And that's when everything went downhill again. Basically, they tried to put me in a new school. Wasn't working. So eventually I just did homeschooling again. Like, it was just, my whole anxiety was just based around school and how much I just didn't want to be there because I hated the way I felt. It was bad. I don't really remember what happened at the end of my freshman year, but my beginning of my sophomore year, I went to this new school. Basically, it was only like, there's literally like maybe 10 kids in the class. Like, it was just like, it was basically like, we were in like an elementary school. It was for autistic kids, and there was a room for a bunch of high school kids where we would do our work, learn, and then after, for like 2 hours, we would go help the teachers with the autistic kids, and we would actually get paid. And it was actually really nice. Definitely think this is what helped me. And then obviously there was therapy in that, and I did therapy before that. But like, therapy, I realized a lot about myself during therapy, because when I first started out, I was severely depressed. I was anxious all the time. So therapy definitely did help me at the time, and I also had therapy in the school, so it really did help me. And then eventually I went there my whole sophomore year, I think. And then my junior year, I was 16. I was like, okay. I started to feel like, okay, I'm not gonna, because at this school, they didn't have prom, they didn't have like a real graduation, like everything was just, it wasn't like a real high school, like I wasn't getting the real high school experience. So I told myself, I was like, I think I really want to try and go back to my old high school and see how that goes, because it's like I want, like, you know, I want a real prom, I want real graduation, I want to do all these different things, and like I want to have the real high school experience. And I finally decided to go back, and junior year was probably the best year. Junior year, I had a really good year. I started to make some new friends. Of course, like, anxiety was still a thing, but it definitely wasn't as bad as it was in the beginning. I definitely knew how to control it more. I was on medication for a while, so I was definitely getting better throughout that year. And then my senior year, I got half of my senior year, and then COVID happened. I was really upset and sad that the whole point of me going back to high school was because I wanted a real graduation and a real prom, and I didn't get either of those things. So obviously I was really depressed about that. I've learned a lot about myself throughout high school. Do I regret what happened to me? No, because it made me into the person that I am today. Do I wish, but obviously there are some moments where I wish that like I didn't go through what I went through, because I probably would have more friends now, because I'm gonna be real honest, I don't really have any friends. I lost touch with a lot of people, and you know, people have their own friends now. They're not gonna, I don't know. I lost a lot of friends because I wasn't in school. Like, I didn't get the time to make friends, and it's my fault because of that. And sometimes I get upset about that, but then I realize that like I wouldn't change who I am now, because I honestly, like, I really think that I've grown so much throughout these past few years. Like, I've learned so much. I know how to control my anxiety now. Anxiety is still a thing. It's not something that goes away. I know how to control it now. I do things to help. I journal. I listen to music. I go on walks. I go to the gym. I dance. There's a lot of things that I do now that help with my anxiety if I'm having anxiety. Also, dance was something at the time that I had to stop doing for a while, because my mom was like, if you're not going to school, you're not going to dance, because, you know, dance is a privilege and you shouldn't, you know, go to dance and not go to school. And then eventually my therapist was like, you know, maybe it's something that she needs to do to help with her anxiety. Even if she's not going to school, I think it's something that she needs to do for herself. But yeah, and I've learned a lot about mental health over the years. Like, it's just, I would not change who I am for anything. Sorry, I'm not really good at like explaining things, because I don't know, talking about this makes me anxious, because like the fact that this is gonna go on the internet, like, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, I've never talked about this on the internet, so I want to share my story, you know. It's like this because it's part of who I am. I just want to let people with anxiety or depression know that you are not alone, that everyone goes through these things and it will get better. I was told that many times throughout what I was going through, and I never believed anybody, but look at me now. I have a YouTube channel, I have a family that supports me and who I love dearly. I'm happy, I'm healthy, so everything will eventually get better. It just takes time. I think time heals everything. Hang in there. Watch my YouTube videos. You are loved. You are enough. And everything will get better. So, yeah, that's basically the gist of my story. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. And follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and my mental health TikTok as well. And thank you guys for watching. I love you guys so much. And I will see you guys next week. Bye!